So coming up next, we've got a couple of updates from Briefcase. So speaking of people that have been badgering away and have been working over Christmas, Ruben is one of them. And so they've released a nice little feature where they've added Autopilot for sales transactions. So they've had Autopilot for receipts and purchases before, and they've now switched it on for sales. And this opens up, I think, a really interesting go-to-market route for accounting products. One of the things that we experience at Xero is that where you've got an accountant that's just recommending it to clients, the rate at which you can influence that sale and grow is much slower because you're waiting for an opportunity. Where we found a lever to accelerate growth was by offering Xero as a bookkeeping tool. So for where they're doing bookkeeping for a client, they could just have discretion to just use it themselves, and they would benefit from the time saving thing. So it was a more simple sale. One of the things that was missing on that, though, was sales processing, because if you've got a client that's just writing sales invoices out or they're using a different system, that effectively just becomes another transaction to try and process. And you couldn't then use a Dext or receipt bank at the time to process it. So having the sales processing in there, if you've still got people that are absolutely resisting using accounting software, could be a really interesting addition for the likes of bookkeepers who've still got to get that stuff processed, but want to systemize it with a resistant client. So nice feature in its own right, but I think strategically it could open up a couple of interesting conversations off the back of that. But Ryan, what's your take?
I'll be honest, I'm trying to remember what Autopilot is in Briefcase. Is it so essentially where you've got? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it checks the transactions that are coming in, so it makes sure that they're valid. Let me go and find the release for it. So it's document legibility, completeness of data extraction, and consistency with historical patterns. So it checks those before publishing transactions into the system.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, a beautiful thing about Briefcase, obviously, it's built kind of on AI. So it's got the ability to read the documents a lot faster and a lot more context. I mean, that's something that, the likes of the Dexts in this world have had to try and adapt to, because they were all kind of, it was just based on workflow. Has this client or supplier come in before? If so, what do we do and how do we extract it, apply that? This now is smarter, the likes of Briefcase. I believe Dex has kind of adapted its system to also work in that way now. But Dex for ages has had sales. Dex has always had, I say always, that's wrong, but for a long time has had sales extraction. And I still use this for clients because they will be on a different system, something that doesn't necessarily connect in, more legacy, but they're like, okay, well, we still need digital links in place and we want to automate the processing as much as possible. We don't have to retype everything, which so many businesses do. So the ability to, especially if this legacy system, they're sending stuff out by email, copy in an email in address with your sales invoice, extracts the relevant stuff and pushes it in, I think is a big plus. The other brilliant thing about Briefcase, which I think is going to really help for sales, is because of that context, looking at like tracking categories, so departments, cost centers, etc., is a powerful element of it. I don't know if it's going to be in this release, but I know that's what they built into the purchase side. So if they're doing that with sales, which is usually now what businesses want from the ability to slice data for their reporting at a much more granular level, I think this is going to be a big win for them. And also it just, they need to become, to some extent, more on parity with the big beasts in this world, such as Dex, so that if they're trying to take those clients and show, where they differentiate, they're not having to go, we don't have that. No, okay, we don't have that. And they go, yes, we do have that. We have these other function areas inside the product. And because it's newer, it's not had the same length of time to build out as much functionality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's interesting about what Briefcase are doing is that they're adding functionality to get to parity, like you say, with the likes of Dext. But they're also going beyond. So we had the story a week or two ago, didn't we, of them starting to bring in HMRC's guidance on VAT treatment as well. So really interesting to see how they're going after the market by bringing that stuff into parity. Because like you say, it becomes a blocker if someone's workflow depends on something and you don't have it in your product. But also then trying to innovate and bring in new things as well looks really interesting.